Welcome back everyone. With Kyrie Irving now being off the table, the Lakers will now have to turn in a different direction, and according to Rob Pelinka, they are willing to make every one of their trade assets available. That could mean everything from their draft picks, a tradable contract like Lonnie Walker, or even a young, up-and-coming player like Max Christie. Now I'm sure they would prefer to keep everything they can, but they obviously have to do something to improve their team, as they continue to hover slightly below 500, and in my opinion, they cannot hope to make a big change without trading Westbrook. It might have been looking pretty good for a while there, but they simply can't reach their potential with him on their team. In order for them to get there, they need to turn his contract into more production, and ideally with not only one, but multiple quality players. But how could they manage to do that? What trade or trades are out there that would dramatically improve their team? And then what is the pathway they should take to make them? We will talk about exactly that in today's video. Before we do that though, if you are looking to turn your NBA or NFL knowledge into cash, then be sure to check out PrizePicks. All the way up until the Super Bowl, they are offering an absolute no-brainer pick. You can pick MVP quarterback Patrick Mahomes to have either more or less than 0.5 total passing yards. And just a hint, I would go with the over on that one. If you are looking to make your own picks and take advantage of that no-brainer Patrick Mahomes play, then be sure to check out PrizePicks and use code JSM to get a bonus on your first deposit. Without further ado though, let's get back to today's topic, and we'll begin by briefly reviewing the Lakers' 15-man roster. At the moment, they have 14 total players under contract, and while they could theoretically sign a free agent, it's much more likely that they'll fill that spot through a trade. And with that in mind, there is really only one pathway for us to take here, with that obviously involving making a trade, or potentially a couple of them. And although many Laker fans wanted Kyrie Irving, he has now been traded to the Dallas Mavericks, which will force us to turn in a different direction. And in my mind, there are really two of them that stand out, with one of them being a trade involving the Toronto Raptors, and then the other one involving the Utah Jazz. And given that everyone thinks differently, I will be going through a plan that involves each of them, and then fill out their roster following that. But we'll begin by going through a scenario involving the Toronto Raptors, and the trade I'm thinking about would include Westbrook, Damian Jones, and then 2 first-round draft picks going to the Raptors, and then Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., and Chris Boucher coming to LA. I know that many of you would like to have OG Anunoby here, but I really don't see that being a realistic option. Toronto reportedly wants 3 first-round picks for him alone, and that is something we cannot offer. I mean, it might take some luck to even pull off this trade. Fred VanVleet is a former All-Star, and then both Gary Trent Jr. and Chris Boucher are quality role players. Although, the thing that would both help them and potentially hurt them later on is that neither Fred VanVleet nor Gary Trent Jr. are under contract long term. They are both looking for a new deal, and it will likely take about 20 to 25 million per year to retain Trent, and then around 30 million per year to retain Fred VanVleet. Now that might sound like a lot, and it definitely is for real life standards, but with the NBA salary cap continuing to go up, that really is not that horrible. I mean, it's obviously not ideal, but I would argue that they are worth it. If we take a look at what the Lakers need, they could use more 3-point shooting, more wing depth, and a better fitting point guard if they trade Westbrook, and that would pretty much be exactly what they are getting here. Fred VanVleet would be a near perfect point guard for them. Gary Trent Jr. is a high-volume, efficient 3-point shooter, and then Chris Boucher would provide them with more depth at power forward and center. They have never had a point guard like Fred VanVleet during the LeBron-Anthony Davis era, and by replacing Westbrook with him, that would go a long way in improving their offense. They would finally be getting borderline all-star production from their point guard position, a great fit on the wing with Gary Trent Jr., and then a versatile big man with Chris Boucher. However, I do understand that the Lakers might be worried about retaining them, and therefore might not be willing to include their draft picks to get the deal done, which would then force them to look in a different direction. And that would be where a deal with the Utah Jazz might come in. Much like the Toronto Raptors, they could offer the Lakers everything they need in terms of fit. They have a playmaking point guard who can play either on or off the ball in Mike Conley, a 3-point sharpshooter in Malik Beasley, and then a borderline elite defender in Jared Vanderbilt, all of which are under contract and would seemingly fit perfect on their team. And then to make it even better, they might be able to avoid giving up both first round draft picks here. Now, they would obviously have to give up one of them, but I'm not sure they would have to give up both. I think a fair offer here would include Westbrook, one unprotected first round draft pick, and then one second round draft pick or two for good measure, and I believe that would be worth it. Now, they would have to waive a player to make room for them, but with the $4 million they would be saving by making this trade, it would not cost them anything to waive a guy like JTA. But getting back to the fit here, I absolutely love these three players for them. Beginning with Mike Conley, he would be an ideal point guard to pair with LeBron and AD. Even now at 35, he remains one of the best floor generals in the entire league. He currently owns an assist-to-turnover ratio of 4.4, good enough for 5th place in the NBA. And then for his 3-point shooting, he is a 38.1% career 3-point shooter, and then a 43.5% shooter from the corner, which is a pretty good indication of his ability to play off the ball. And if we're talking about 3-point shooting, then Malik Beasley cannot be forgotten about. He is actually having a down year by shooting 35.8% from 3, and that really tells you about his shooting ability. He is currently attempting 8 3-point shots per game, and 6 of them alone are from catch and shooting. There are only 5 players in the entire league who shoot more than him, and that would make him a great fit beside LeBron and AD. Finally, with Jared Vanderbilt though, he might not be a big time 3-point shooter, but he is certainly a great defender. He can legitimately defend 1 through 5, and that is something they do not have outside of Anthony Davis. I mean, I can already imagine the defensive nightmare that he and AD would be together. 2 6'10" players who can match up with anybody on the court, and all around wreak havoc on defense. In my opinion, if the Lakers are able to get them for under 2 first-round draft picks, and they should definitely be able to, then there is no reason for them not to make this deal. And like I referred to before, they would not have to be done here either. They did save a draft pick after all, and they would still have a minor hole at small forward, and they could fill that by trading either Patrick Beverley or Lonnie Walker. Although, I feel like the more likely option would be Lonnie Walker. They are going to have a tough time retaining him, and that could lead to them trading him before the trade deadline. And if they do, I would like to see them trade him for Alec Burks, a versatile two-way player. He could outfill a big need for them both on offense and defense too. They could acquire him by trading Lonnie Walker, Damian Jones, and then a second-round draft pick or two, which would definitely be worth it in my opinion. Alec Burks would add even more 3-point shooting to their rotation, a bigger wing defender for them on defense, and then additional scoring and playmaking ability as well. I really like the idea of adding Alec Burks, but by trading 2 players for him, we have now opened up another spot on their 15-man roster, and that will be saved for the buyout market, which could potentially lead to them signing a guy like Terrence Ross if they are lucky, or signing a current free agent like Mo Harkless if they are not. Either way though, it would be another way for them to add more wing depth, and if we take a look at their new 15-man roster, we have now fixed their 3-point shooting problem, added a much better fitting point guard, and even made their defense significantly better as well. Again, a deal with the Toronto Raptors or maybe even Charlotte Hornets could be beneficial as well, but I really like what they could do with the trade involving the Utah Jazz. With all of that being said though, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the team that we created here? Would you do anything differently, or would you keep it exactly the same? Let me know your thoughts by commenting down below and we can talk about it there. That will do it for this video though. Big thank you to those of you who took the time to watch until the end of this video, and until the end of all of my videos in general. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and turn on notifications to get notified right away when I drop a new video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.